YouTube and on Twitch. So real quick, I'm going to say we are live on twitch.tv/calling up justice, and we are live on YouTube at Claudia Alick calling up justice, and this is Trek Talk. Let's get to
Trek talking.
we're going to get to the what the truck rink looks like. Well, because this is our screen for that. And Claudia, you're here, and we are also live on.
Yes,
Where are we live?
we are live on TikTok, and I'm just gonna keep repeating this throughout this episode because this is a weird TikTok live stream. It's the first time I've ever live streamed on this TikTok account, and I don't know if you're into Star Trek. So if you're into Star Trek, hit the like button and say the word Star Trek in the chat, in the comments. Tell us which Star Trek you like the most. Let's talk about Lower Decks, baby. I want to talk about it. I'm excited.
I love Star Trek. I typed Star Trek into the chat on Twitch because I was like, Star Trek. Okay.
All caps.
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
I approve. I approve. Also, for our audience who's viewing on TikTok, I recognize that's very small and it's hard for you to see. So if you want to, you can always go straight to Twitch for Calling Up Justice. It's Calling Up Justice. That said, I think this is the most interesting view, where you can barely see, you can't see, like, that's Maya right there. She's wearing an amazing uniform, though. She's in a full Star Trek uniform right there. What are we doing today, Maiamama?
So we're going really loosey goosey because this is a special episode. It's not that delayed. I'd say it's only delayed by a few days, so we're okay. But we're not doing an episode on Thursday this week, so we're going to do one today.
Okay.
And so what I want to do is I just want to talk about what happened. I just wrote down notes, Um, uh, so I thought we could start with Starbase 80
Yeah.
and then move
Great
on
idea.
after that to Of Gods and Angels. So I was I loved I loved both of these episodes very much. I just want to put that out there. These were really fun, and it was really cool. It's really cool, been cool to see the evolution of of
And you wanna
Becky
you wanna
Beckett Mariner.
So we're gonna start with Starbase 80,
Is that
and then we're gonna do a farewell to
did I
farms.
do it the wrong
Or do you want
or
to?
of God's?
Do you
No,
want
we
me to
already
talk?
did. We already did that, didn't we?
We talked about. Oh wait, I guess we did
Yeah.
because we talked. We did Ghost Cerritos and Shades of Green in one
Uh
episode,
huh.
and we did the Best Exotic Nanite Hotel and a Farewell to Farms in one
Uh
episode,
huh.
didn't we?
And now we're doing 80
Oh, okay.
Starbase 80 and Of Gods and Angels.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Yes. Brain. Yes. So
Yes, I'm with you. Let's do it.
the evolution of Beckett Mariner. Now, like,
Mm.
really, it almost felt like these two episodes really felt like one very
Yes.
long story.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
we start
Agreed.
at the beginning of Starbase 80, where Mariner is like enthusiastic about her work. She talks about how Starfleet is a scientific exploration, type of group. She talks about granular science. So I looked up what that was because I was like,
Oh.
what's that? Now, like, there really isn't such a thing as granular science, but in science, when they're talking about that, they mean the multi-phase materials made up of a large collection of loosely packed solids. So just like stuff that is either gas or liquid, just stuff. That's what they do. They look at stuff. And I liked how she called it granular science because that is what it is. Also, Boimler's facial hair is
Oh my lord. The facial hair journey. I didn't know there were so many funny ways to draw a man's facial hair to look like it's growing in badly.
right.
It's so funny.
It's so bad. Like, I mean, here's the thing.
Every
Well, it's
the joke is growing every episode.
because it gets a little bit like it's like patchy. He's got the mustache is in. The
Oh my
mustache
god.
is solidly there. But then he's
Yes.
got like
Yes.
patches of hair and
Good.
he can use a follicle stimulator on his face. I mean,
That's how they did it on the Next Generation. They were like, let's have beard.
Yeah, they're like burr,
They
burr,
weren't,
burr.
they weren't trying to awkwardly grow them in over time, but that's what I like about Boimler. Boimler thinks that granular science is cool,
Yes.
and also thinks that growing a beard in like that is cool. And that's what we love about Boimler.
Well, and I want to say, because the thing is that there's a part of me that doesn't want to shame him for that. Like, not really, but also he looks like a 12, I mean, he looks like a 13-year-old who's like, look at my beard. Like, every time, like, I look at it, I'm like, oh, you're trying.
This is the thing that I love about Boimler, and I'm referencing a Farewell to Farms now. In Farewell to Farms, Boimler is like the weakest and is called out for being the weakest. They're just like, you're the smallest, weakest one. But he's the one who reacts to the pain sticks in the coolest way, because he's just like, this is so Klingon. Ah. He's enthusiastic. He is passionate, and he's all in, even when he looks like a fool.
Yes.
And his greatest weakness is when he gets all up in his head about what other people think about him. He's at his strongest when he is silly and does not care.
When he goes full nerd. Because, like, even when...
Full Boimler.
Yeah. We need 100% Boims on this. Because when he goes 100% Boims on the Enterprise, on the original Enterprise, he saves the day. When he, like, just relaxes and is himself, because he's actually fine. Like, Bradward Boimler is fine. There's nothing really wrong with him. He's actually just kind of a normal guy that wants to be extraordinary. But the extraordinary thing about him is just how normal he is. I also like bioluminescence and seaweed. I guess I'm a seaweed girl too. Seaweed girls.
I appreciated the references to Enterprise and gelling themselves up.
Yes.
I liked those references. I had a question though. How is Boimler making a T'Pol joke? That felt super meta. That felt a little too meta. That felt like Quaid making his own joke and then being like, "That was so funny, we're leaving it in," but it doesn't.
100%. I'm a total T'Pol over here.
Riker.
I mean, yeah, but also decontamination. They stopped using decontamination gel after the NX-01 Enterprise when they built the NCC model.
They made sure that you did not need to be disinfected before you could see anybody else. They made sure that they
made a whole episode about it. They made a whole episode about how the inventor of the star of transporting, who was a black guy, they were trying to perfect it so that they wouldn't have to keep going through decon all the time. So, like, it's one of those things where, like, if historical documents exist, and they must, there is probably a picture of just like there is
of Captain Archer rubbing T'Pol down.
No,
you don't, because it's like
that's not.
I'm a total T'Pol.
No, he's doing himself. Then he says, "Get my back," to Mariner.
Yeah.
But that's because he's being a silly goose. Which he's being 100% Boims, and we love it. I don't know how I feel about Ransom loving the decon gel. It does make me go, does it smell like Vapo Rub? Because I love Vapo Rub.
I was weirded out by the way he, like, slicked himself all the way down. I was like,
oh yeah. And then he rubbed it under his nose. Did you see that?
But he kept, yes, and then he kept, like, having a little extra.
He kept a jar of it with him because they used it to pull that guy out.
Yes! Oh my lord. Okay. I am finding the episode of Enterprise. I believe it's called Daedalus. And I will put a link in the chat as
Thank
soon as I can
you.
find a good one.
Thank you. I really liked Nicole Byer as Cassia Knox. Here's the thing: is that, and no, I'm not trying to shade Nicole Byer because I love her very much, but a lot of times her roles are kind of the same. They're like a woman who goes, "Hey guys, it's me, and I'm doing a thing," and I love that.
Well, here's the thing. This character also still had that vibe of, this is a fucked up situation and I'm acting like it's totally fine. That is a thing Nicole Byer always
Yes.
does. I remember like her character on The Good Place. Similar vibe.
But I kind of liked it. I liked her Discovery era jumpsuit. Because they can wear whatever they want. Like they can wear whatever like uniform, and that's the one she chose, and I love that. I love that she's an Elorian. I also love that she's like in her 30s. And that like a 30-year-old Elorian is just a normal person.
Yeah, I laughed so hard at that joke. Okay, now I want to tell you a story, Maya.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I don't know if I've ever told you this story. It's a very private, personal story. I used to write Star Trek fan fiction about Guinan's daughter.
Was it you?
Guinan's daughter, obviously,
self-insert.
I was stand-in, self-insert. Obviously, it was self-insert Star Trek fan fiction. It was set on Deep Space Nine, and it was Guinan's daughter. But like Guinan's daughter was old because Guinan had this child before she was on the Enterprise. This child has been bouncing around the universe, but this child is like 100-year-old shitty teenager. Because in my opinion, Illyrians might age slowly, but I also like the idea that they age slowly.
Oh, like that they have a slow developmentally.
Yes.
Like Baby Yoda.
I like the idea of them. Yes,
Grogu.
I want them to be immature. Yeah. So anyway, I had all of these stories in my head, and then they ruined them with Star Trek Picard, where they were like, we're gonna have this other actress, but she's gonna be a young Guinan, and we're gonna have this old Whoopi Goldberg play Guinan, which ruins all of the stories about like this character doesn't age, but we're gonna have an old Whoopi Goldberg player, because that doesn't make any sense and ruins the immersiveness of it. We'll ever say a line about how like I did some like makeup to look old to make you feel better, Picard. Like they had some weird throwaway line that effed it up and made it
didn't
awful.
make any sense because she looked like that back in the 1800s.
Exactly.
So why?
And I'm like,
what happened to you, Guinan?
Like what if they were gonna have a young Guinan, they should have just had that young Guinan playing Guinan. Old Guinan. They should have just had that actress and just had Picard acting like that was Guinan, and just like done that. If they were gonna have Picard act like that random black lady was Guinan in the weird alt universe,
should have been her. Yes, agreed.
Exactly. And I love me some Whoopi Goldberg. I love Whoopi, but still.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like I have somebody in the audience who actually knows us. Thank the Lord. Please say Star Trek in the chat and invite people who are into Star Trek to join us for this conversation. We're talking about Lower Decks. So anyway, loved this character, but like as I saw it, I actually had like this heartbreak moment because she was as I imagined this character. I had made this self-insert fanfic Illyrian character who was Guinan's daughter, who was a badass on a janky star
station.
And was solving problems and being awesome. And my only disappointment is that they didn't make this character related to Guinan, but I still love it.
But the thing, I mean, she might be. That's none of our Never Know mind. They can add that in if they want to. I really hope they don't, because I don't want that. I mean, like, as cool as that is, I don't want that. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, Dr. Harrison Horseberry. I am loving the names on Star Trek Lower Decks, because it's very, very funny. And also, just the name Dr. Horseberry, it's just, and it's so serious. Like, no one's laughing at that name. No one's like, what a ridiculous name. They're all like, yes, of course, Dr. Horseberry, sir.
What I like is
The only thing is
I also
the
like
half thing.
Oh no, 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 that's here's the thing though. It's really the accent.
He's
Pip?
he's British.
What?
He's British. He's very British.
He is very British, but like in a period way, where it's like, how are you British like that? Also, weirdly, Picard has a French accent. I've decided that like we think that Picard sounds English, but that's actually what French people sound like now. And that guy is what, like, somehow I think English people just got really English sounding in the future and, like, went heavy on the pip pip.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So he had a, let me see if I can pronounce it. Tarkane, parasite. Tarkin. It is like a Tarkin. Okay. Parasite, just like Geordie LaForge and his crew did, that made them all like cuckoo wackadoo. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, where they glowed, where they glowed.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You've never watched the episode Star Trek: The Next Generation, season 4, episode 18, Identity Crisis.
Poor Geordie LaForge. Every time they're like, you know what? We're going to have an episode that focuses on this black man, and we're going to make it about how he not only can never find love or romance, we are going to make sure this black man is alone forever, a sexless, sad person, but also we're going to give him an essay. We're going to give him a weird disease that makes him act weird. Yeah, I mean, that's what I remember from that episode.
Yeah. There was that. It just makes me think of like the ways that sometimes the writers just choose a character that's going to be the picked on one, like Miles O'Brien on Deep Space Nine, specifically in Deep Space Nine. When he was on the Enterprise, he was like, nothing really bad happened to him on the Enterprise other than like reminders of the Cardassian War. Like a little bit of PTSD, but just like a little.
Space Nine, it was like, let's make sure you lose your daughter, and that's horribly traumatic, and also make sure you go to jail, and that horrible, like the things that happen.
You got life in prison.
That would destroy. Yeah, like that would destroy a person. Like that person should retire and no longer have to work ever again, because that's a super messed up thing that happened to them. But I wanted to go back to the Tarkin parasite that got Geordie, because here's my question. I think that actually they were in another what's the issue they had on Voyager where they accidentally made a new person, a Tuvix. This feels like a Tuvix situation where he was a different species. He was fully another species.
Well,
he had escaped. He was going to live his life. He was going to live a new alien life because he had been fully transformed.
It's not so much that he was like a different person. It was more that he stopped being aware of his of his life on the Enterprise. Like it didn't matter.
A parasite got into him and it made him into a new alien. It transformed him into a Tarkin, and that's how Tarkins. That's reasonable for Tarkins. Don't judge Tarkins.
That's how they procreate. You know? Honor them. We honor them.
Exactly. Like we're not. So it was a Tuvix situation where Picard was like, I prefer Geordie LaForge, the one I have, not this new Tarkin thing. So I'm going to kill the Tarkin to save the Geordie, just as they killed the Tuvix to save the Tuvok and the Neelix.
I mean, you're not. His thing is that, like, I'm like, well, I guess in like a very, very technical way, yes, you are right that that Picard made a unilateral decision to exterminate. I mean, there were still some, because there were the other officers that
And they couldn't get fixed.
nah,
They
they were
were
just
just
like, we're gonna go scuttle up.
Mendez and Revel.
Yeah.
It was Mendez and Revel, and they were just
Rest in peace.
transformed forever. Oh,
Pour one out for them. Pour one out for them.
it's not rest in peace. It's just like the rest as a. Well, it's not even resting.
Have a good life.
Live,
Have a good life.
Yeah, have a good life as a Tarkin. Anyway, just wanted to mention that I thought that was interesting that Identity Crisis had that question, but like did not dwell on like the question, right? The Tuvix episode I've written,
You've frozen up on me.
and they never dwell on it.
Could you say that one more time? Because you froze up. You said it was written and then they never dwelled
I
on
don't
it.
remember.
Okay, sorry.
I don't remember what I said. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Let's keep going.
So,
Let's keep going.
so as it turns, so everyone, goes all screwy. It was very obvious because of the color of the lightning, the shocks on
Yes,
the,
no, if you
on
were
the,
paying attention to the cold setup where the cetacean crew is like, it's good, weird stuff is happening. And like, I remember being like, you're just letting that go? But I was like, oh, they're so freaked out about having to go to Starbase 80 that they aren't paying attention. But I was like, that doesn't seem normal to me. Like, I feel like I would send someone to the cetacean deck to be like, hey, go check on cetacean ops. That doesn't look regular to me.
they like electrified. And they live in water. And I read somewhere that electricity and water are like,
Well, it wasn't electricity. It was anaphasic energy,
yes.
Maya.
Okay.
Duh.
Well, do you want to know about anaphasic life forms? Is that what your hint is?
I do actually. I mostly want to know about anaphasic life forms that want to do it.
Oh.
That's actually the only one I'm interested in. I'm disappointed that this one we didn't get. We should have gotten a dolphin romance, everyone. This episode messed up.
This was just a young junior anaphasic life form named Clem. But generally speaking,
Poor
Clem.
Poor Clem.
But anaphasic life forms are entities composed of anaphasic energy which differentiate from entities from like, because they're not solid, they're gaseous. They are extremely unstable, so they need a conduit to maintain molecular cohesion and a corporeal host with compatible biochemistry in order to take physical form. Like in TNG, there was a lot of TNG references in this episode.
We only know about this because Dr. Beverly Crusher, her grandmother passed away, as you know, that happened. So she went back to the planet of Scotland. It was a planet where they were like, let's make this planet Scotland. And so they did. It's weird. I don't get it.
I thought it was
they're on planet
Ireland.
Scotland. I thought it was planet Scotland. All right, everybody, people in the audience, let us know. Tell us, was Beverly's grandmother Irish
no, you're
or
right.
Scottish?
You're right.
I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant. I'm
don't know.
pulling from my memory from the accents, and I remember them being incredibly Scottish accents, which I thought was really funny. That's what I'm remembering in my head. I could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't watched this
I might be
episode in a long
confusing this
time.
with Planet Ireland. So who knows?
There you go. Oh my God, right. No, there was a Planet Ireland because Planet Ireland was the lady who was like, look at my calves. I have sexy calves. And Riker
Don't
was
you
like,
like
have sexy
girls?
calves." Yes. No, this was Planet Scotland because that's how Star Trek works. It's all better than Planet Africa.
So much
But
better.
Anyway, Beverly Crusher, her grandma died, and so she goes back home to like deal with the like details and stuff. And then she just starts having really intense dreams about a sexy dude, like a really like really intense, inappropriate dreams, right? And then she's reading her grandma's diary, and it's all about this lover that she had for her entire, like all the way up until her death. And she's like, my grandma never told me about this guy. Oh wow! So she is reading some.
Ronan.
I bet that there's like some intense fanfic out there. I think somebody's probably. I think if you go searching for this, you will find it online. Somebody has written the fake letters from Beverly Crusher's grandmother. This exists. I know it does. I know people. But anyway, she goes, like, she's having these weird experiences. So she goes to her best friend, who's partially psychic, right? And it's just like, I'm having these weird feelings and stuff. It's crazy. And she's just like, that's awesome. Oh, and you're dating a weird random person and doing it?
Keep it up.
Keep going. I approve. I have no questions. Good for you, girl.
Get it.
Then she's like, I quit my job. I don't want to be on the Enterprise anymore. I've decided to, have amazing sex and live on this planet and, just be like a healer, but on this one planet. And everybody is like, that is an inappropriate decision. You would never decide to do that. You would never decide to quit your really dangerous job, very stressful, dangerous job, to go be happy on a planet. You would never choose to do that.
Didn't she do that? Sorry.
Oh my God.
I just realized that. The way you were describing, I'm like, didn't she kind of do that? I mean, she didn't go onto a planet. I mean, she did at times.
But she did leave everybody.
Full on quit her job and left.
Didn't talk to anybody.
Nope.
She was just like, out.
So actually,
and like, years before. Mm-hmm.
It was actually on character, even though everyone was like, this isn't like you, Beverly. It actually is 100% like her.
And low-key, I think that they robbed her. Because she would have been safe on that planet. She would have been safe. It's not like that anaphasic life form stole your life. It just kept you trapped on that planet.
In a perpetual
ecstasy.
Yeah.
For hours, all day long.
Oh, no.
I know. I'm just saying, I recognize that she wouldn't have been in charge of a bunch of Star Trek stuff, but in terms of personal happiness, they stole that from her. They stole her agency, but she didn't like it.
He stole her agency too, though.
Because he was manipulating her. He was lying. He should have been honest. He should have been like, from the get-go, yo, I'm an anaphasic ghost. I was in love with your mom. I'm falling in love with you. I can't exist unless you hold me. Because she would have been like, either let me help you out, or let me make a container for you to survive in. It's Star Trek.
How many weirdo partners has Beverly Crusher had? Remember when she dated that Trill before anyone knew what a Trill was?
And the Trill was in Riker's body, and that was wrong. 100%.
Troy would have been cool with it. She's a Betazoid. They're very open people. That's why she was like, oh wow, yeah, read your grandma's pornography.
That's awesome. Well, here's the thing. I am for that. I think that I actually would have had the same reactions as her. The only difference would be that if I had psychic powers too, I might be like, wow, your feelings are really intense, unnaturally intense. The kind of intensity that only comes from an anaphasic life form invading your body. I would know. I've had life forms invade my body. You remember that baby I had in season 2? That's what I would have said if I was the Anaphasic.
So, if this was just me, Maiamama, talking to my friend Bev Crusher, I'd be like, girl, you're at that honeymoon period at the very beginning of a relationship.
Right,
it's real easy to get dematized.
Yeah.
You just like, oh, everything's great. You're getting all those happy chemicals in your brain. You're a doctor and you understand this. I'm not saying go get it. What I'm saying is, take a break or something. And also, you can't have a relationship with someone who just disappears randomly and that none of your friends have met. That's not okay.
You can, but it's not a healthy relationship. 100%. Okay,
no, I'm going to tell her she can't do it.
I was just going to stay in Star Trek The Next Generation forever, though, because you're right. There's a lot of Star Trek Next Generation references in this Lower Decks episode.
So, well, I mean, that was, I guess we could talk about that very end when the captain is like, I'm gonna kill this giant bat.
Well, okay, so this is one of the things that I enjoyed because I think that this was also referencing TOS episodes. So there's a lot of this is like a Star Trek episode thing. There's a lot of Star Trek episodes that are about going to the spooky base.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the base so spooky? Why are there bats around? Like, why is everything run down and kind of broken? Why are the people who are running this place, why do they seem kind of off? And I like the description of it's like, oh, well, this guy is kind of off because he doesn't have the right equipment. He's overworked. He has and he is being forced to kind of trick you into doing a bunch of work for him because he can't get Starfleet to send him any help. Starbase 80 isn't bad because bad people are there. It's bad because Starfleet doesn't take care of it. It made me go, I'm hoping that they like have some kind of reference to the other universe, and we find out that like Starbase 80 there is actually awesome.
It's like and like the ivory tower in the Neverending Story. Like, doo,
well, I don't know about that, but I like I saw something crack open with our captain, and she was fixing the problems. I was like, dang, if they left you on that base for another couple of days, they might stop being so weird. You might work it out with the knife gang. Also, that was funny that they're half run by a knife gang. Holy!
But also, they seemed really nice. They actually seemed very nice.
I guess. I mean, they were like, "You want to go to the arcade?"
Here's some. They gave free tokens to go to the arcade. Yeah, cool. I don't care if they have knives around. If they're giving out those free tokens, like they do, that's their culture, and they can do that.
Stairs. I enjoyed the stairs because how are there not stairs? Like in all of these, like you often would maybe see like a little bit of stairs. Like I'm remembering in Deep Space Nine, we saw a little bit of stairs in Quarks, but you never saw like stairs. And I'm like, you can't depend on machinery all the time. There's got to be an analog way of getting from point A to point B. And on a starship, like the insides of it are moving around all the. Well, okay, yes, we've got the rungs, we've got the ladders. Not everybody can climb a ladder. Okay, and yeah, we've got the Jeffries tubes. TikTok audience, I just want to let you know that Maiamama, you can't see, but Maiamama was miming climbing a ladder and going down a Jeffries tube. All right, points made. I really enjoyed this episode. I think my favorite thing about this episode was that it had this like it felt like it was Lower Decks is smart. It's so genre savvy. It's writing it for me. It knows that I know every single Star Trek. I know all their references, and I'm going to be trying to guess what's going to happen next, and then they switch it up on you in a way that's super satisfying.
I really liked, and I think it was really appropriate when Tendi was just looking at the shop, and she was looking at all the retro uniforms. And when they told her that they were from the dead soldiers, she was a little bit more excited, which seems very Orion. But also she's a history nerd.
But also, like, if you go to get, like, because, like, I remember, like, going to the store to, like, get, like, vintage army jackets and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, probably we're getting stuff from people who passed away. Probably this was donated, like, so I enjoyed that moment, but you're right. I think an Orion would like something worn by the dead. That was a cute moment. It was. Yeah. I want to rewatch the episode where they visit Deep Space Nine, because I'm now doing some comparisons to Starbase 80 and Deep Space Nine, and I want to refresh that in my head. So I think for my own pleasure, I might revisit that Lower Decks episode.
I think that's a great idea. What you'll notice a lot of with Starbase 80 is that Starbase 80 is TOS era and the movies era, old stuff. You know, with the with the twist to operate the turbo lifts. That was funny, so.
Because Ransom's like, "Hey, did you have to use these in your?" And she's like, "I'm not that old. I am not TOS old." Oh my god!
Like what? No.
But I'm also fascinated that because like when we see Strange New Worlds, the TOS era stuff is introduced as this is better and fancier than everything you saw in Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff that looked shiny and new and fancy on Discovery was actually old. And wait a second, it's going to say my live is going to end in 5 minutes unless I put this puzzle piece in a puzzle box. Okay, I did it. So yeah, I find that fascinating. That the ship that looked like Kelvin Universe, the future, was actually old-fashioned, and the brand new stuff works so well that they're still using it. Like, I like the idea that that stuff is still working, actually.
To be fair, it's not working well. This is what happens when you don't have a choice. Okay, so
right.
like a lot of their stuff is falling apart. Like it took Captain Freeman a couple of seconds on her tricorder to stop all of those sirens, and then
this was my question. Why don't they just give him a tricorder?
I'm sure they did. In the end, they probably gave them a bunch of stuff because they like fixed their gravity and their engineering. I think they did a whole bunch of repairs.
Gravity. They were up on the ceiling defying gravity. Sorry, I'm back.
And they can't hold you.
Also, Elphaba and Orions. I've been thinking about Elphaba and Orions for a while right now because I'm just like, are they referencing Orions at all with Wicked?
No.
I think somebody's going to have to do some kind of cosplay or crossover something on TikTok. I'm looking forward to it. Are there any other final thoughts we want to have on Starbase 80? Because I know we want to talk about...
that is all I've got.
I really enjoyed the episode.
I did too. It was really good, and I really like how we picked up with the next episode. Like it just flowed well. Now I will say, I miss T'Lyn, but
yeah, me too. T'Lyn, what happened?
Neither of these episodes. We'll find out. In a couple of days. But it's okay. I like having the core 4. Warp Core 4. I don't know. They would love that if I called them that. Yeah. If I called them that, yeah, they'd love it. So
the Warp Core 4, they would love that. I think the actors would love it too.
So
they seem like they're
in Of Gods and Angels, we have the typical story of two alien races who hate each other that are essentially the same, but they are absolutely not.
So, like, this is making fun. Now, what I find fascinating
black,
about Star
white, black, yeah.
Yes. Roddenberry was like, this is not just a wagon train to the stars. My show is going to have allegories about social conflicts. And I am going to talk about racism, but not actual racism with, like, actual black people and actual white people, because, like, I might get in trouble for that. So I'm going to make an alien race that's half black and half white. Because I think that the real problem with racism is that, like, we act like it exists. And Roddenberry's analysis is so shallow. But that episode is amazing, where it's one race is black on the left and the other race is black on the right. And so we as audience members are like, there is no discernible difference between them.
And they're like, how dare you?
This is so dumb.
So yeah, so we have...
And this one was...
They're round glowing spheres and cubed glowing cubes that again are both they're photonic based life. They're they have slightly different cultures because one is based on roundness and one is based on lines and corners and angles. But that's the difference. Now, one thing, it was such a deep dive line that Boimler says. He makes a joke about comedian, or was it entertaining comedian thing? He says, I'm not Ronald B. Moore. Now, here's the thing. Ronald B. Moore Ronald B. Moore is an American visual effects producer and 5-time Emmy Award winner. Moore was the visual effects supervisor on the Star Trek spin-off, Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Enterprise. He is not to be confused. But
I know who Ron B. Moore is. In that moment, I was pulled out of the show and I was like, why are you, although in my brain, I remember Ron B. Moore as a writer, but I was like, why are you referencing a Star Trek writer? What is this?
Stop. He is not to be confused with Ronald D. Moore, one of his co-workers who served as a script writer on Star Trek The Next Generation. Ronald D., as in Enterprise D, is a different person than Ronald B., as in Enterprise B. Moore. They are two different people that worked on the same show. And that is what blew my mind, is that he said Ronald B. Moore, and that's who he meant. And that's funny.
I was referencing Ronald D. Moore. Here's my question. Ronald B. Moore wasn't a comedian, though, was he?
No.
So the joke doesn't make any sense.
That's why it's funny. Maybe Ronald B. Moore was really funny. Because I was like, what? Oh.
I think the Star Trek Lower Decks writers' room is messing with us. I think they wrote that because they were like, and now those Star Trek nerds are going to have to look up
I loved it.
Ronald D. Moore Ronald D. Moore, and they're just going to be like, oh.
It was so good. It was so good. It made me, it just made me laugh so hard because, yeah. And who would have thought, because here's the thing, I didn't really actually know who Ronald B. Moore was either. Because I was like, he didn't say that right, but I'm going to look it up because I think he did. Because I think he did say it right. And my brain just doesn't know who this is. But Ronald B. Moore, he's one of the names, I think, on the Next Gen, on the dun, 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 dun. He's the special effects supervisor. Like, for those 3 shows that had, you know, so much technical visual know-how and whatnot, it is really, I think it's funny because that's not the right one.
Oh my God. Wait a second.
What?
Give me a moment.
Oh my.
Ronald B. Moore, comedian. Ronald B. Moore was a noted human comedian from the 20th century. In 2365, Data attempted to utilize Mr. Comic to help him better understand the concept of humor. In 2382, no. Okay, I don't understand.
Is that the guy that Joe
no.
Piscopo played?
No, Joe Piscopo played the comic. The character was identified by the holodeck. Oh, okay. So the comic was named Ronald B. Moore
after Ronald B. Moore, the visual effects producer.
Okay. Yes. So in the frickin' 80s when they made this episode, right? Some special effects parts because it's only on the holodeck programming. It is a visual joke, and it's a visual in joke because Ronald B. Moore is one of the special effects people. So we're just like, oh yeah, he's called the comic in the episode, but we're gonna say his real name is this. LOL. And then in the Lower Decks, we got it, everybody. We found it. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat.
Wow.
Oh, Lower Decks. Lower Decks is so deep cut. Oh my lord. Okay, I'm back.
My brain is.
Holy
I feel,
I'm excited
you know what? I feel better knowing that. Yeah, that's the guy. Joe Piscopo. I was right. That's the guy.
But I needed you to do the referencing about, because I was thinking Ronald D. Moore. I needed you to be like, no, it's Ronald B. Moore, the visual effects guy, not Ronald D. Moore, the writer. Star Trek?
Wow. Woo! So when he called Rutherford a real Ronald B. Moore, that's who he meant. And that character is named after the one that I was.
Yes! I am going to drop a Ronald D. Moore because here's the thing. Ronald D. Moore it was responsible for the reimagined Battlestar
Yeah,
Galactica,
yeah.
which is why I know his name.
Mm-hmm.
He's responsible for Star Trek episodes I really liked. I liked his work on Star Trek. I liked his work enough that I remembered his friggin' name.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hi! New audience member. I love that. Hey, I got a new Star Trek follower. I'm very
Aww.
excited. So
Well,
excited.
peace and long life to you. um, now, oh, sorry. So, next,
Okay.
I like the you don't have to be Dixon Hill to see some bad shit went down in here. And I'm like, I love that. I just love the line. It's cute. I love how they, because the thing is that when it really comes down to it, yes, Jean-Luc Picard really likes the Dixon Hill game holodeck program, but it's a program, which means lots of people would play it if they heard that the captain of the flagship of Starfleet loves playing Dixon Hill. So like, and
Oh,
she's a
you know
nerd,
that
so you know she played it too. Though we
but
know she
also
did.
like I know that Boimler has researched the interests and hobbies of famous captains
Yes.
and tries to do them. So it does not surprise me that he would be familiar with, because like didn't he want to like go like wasn't there like a Dixon Hill experience
Yeah.
in the Best Nanite Hotel?
Yeah.
So this is the second Dixon Hill reference we've had this
So
season. Not mad at.
but now I would like to talk about Ensign Ollie, granddaughter of Zeus. I
Yes.
really I enjoy seeing that juxtaposition because she's a lot like she's um she's a lot like how Mariner was in season 1. Just like
Yep.
just like none of you care about me, so I'm just going to, implode. Really
Yeah.
loving how I was like, is Mariner like ransom to Ollie?
I think
And
that's what's. I think that we're getting. This is the final season
yeah,
of Star Trek Lower Decks, and I've been mad about it because I was like, you know what, Star Trek Lower Decks should be on forever like The Simpsons. It's the best thing ever, and it should be able to last forever. But I now understand that we have been witnessing the journey of Mariner. This has
hmm,
been Well, I think it's both Mariner and Boimler's journey into becoming fully realized people who can survive, because them in season 1, neither of them are functional.
no, neither of them are able to function independently, even because they're both just not good at it. I
Yeah.
loved the exclamation of shape war. Um, shape
Shape
war.
war.
It's just very
Yeah,
very
it was awesome.
funny. Did you get the I figured out that there was a Romeo and Juliet element as soon as the son was
Oh,
missing.
immediately.
I was like I was
Immediately.
like, so is the girl missing? I haven't heard anything about the
Obviously.
girl. And then as soon as they did it,
I,
I was like, Quadrillon and Radia.
again, I think that they know that their audience is super genre savvy. So they had to keep the other shape child is missing. They had to save that until almost to the end of the third act because they knew that we were going to be ahead of them. I had guessed that probably he was having a love affair with one of the other shapes and that would be resolved somehow because it felt like uh, the obvious plot point. I didn't understand though that they had destroyed the housing with their really aggressive, wild doing it.
It's
The
a
shape doing
it's
it.
a it's
I
it's not here. Sometimes there's things that we don't need to know. And
I
and
I
kinks
just
and kinks we
I
don't need to understand if they aren't ours.
I here's the thing though, I appreciate that Lower Decks keep surprising me. Cause like even when I am ahead of the plot, it had stuff in there where I was like, oh no. Wait, no, they touched all of that stuff and we're measuring. Oh no. And then I liked that like
Clean
all the characters
up
were
after
like,
yourself.
no. Like there was like 3 different joke beats for
Yeah.
different characters to be like, no,
You
come
nasty.
on.
You nasty. That's what I kept thinking. Um now and I mean, right now, I liked Ollie's very funny, weird lightning things that were almost like inflatable,
I
shocking
enjoyed the
stuff.
joke that it like ended up in Boimler's butt,
Yeah.
and then the doctor got to like take it out, and like that's why she likes him so much. But and I get that like the first time that happened, it hit him so hard he flipped, which is why she called him Flip the first time when she had it in the other episode, or in the other universe. I think that's why his nickname must be Flip, because like it hit him so hard he flipped. But like I didn't like it because I remembered the episode Who Mourns for Adonis.
Uh-huh.
And Who Mourns for Adonis, there were not physical representations of the lightning bolts. They were real lightning. And I was like, I mean, I get that the joke is she's not good at it, but like, why are they? Why
I
are
think
they,
it
like,
could be because her
there?
mom.
'Cause-
I think her dad is Adonis,
yeah,
and her mom was whoever that crazy human woman was. And I say it that way because that's
no,
how
you're right.
Kirk
You're completely
treated her.
right.
He shook her and slapped her across the face.
This is also how all women who had sexual desires were treated in TOS. Like inevitably, because I ended up doing a big piece of research and revisiting the episode where No Man Has Gone Before, because I thought we were going to be talking about unification, and so I was like, let me get into Gary Mitchell. But whenever I try to engage with Gary Mitchell, I end up getting super pissed off at how TOS treats any woman, because the woman character always falls in love with the antagonist, and it's just like, but my lady parts say I should do it with the guy who wants to destroy the Enterprise. I know that I'm a scientist or a doctor or a historian or something, but I think I should quit my job. And like, here's the thing, when Beverly Crusher tried to quit her job and go have a sex affair on a planet, everyone was like, no, that's insane, we're not going to let you do that with your career. But Kirk and Spock are like, you know what, you want to go off on a planet with these, you want to do it with a god for the you know what, I got to respect your agency, we'll leave you on this planet. Oh, you want to stay with these augments, and you know what, you do you more hey, good for you.
Yeah, but if it had been one of the senior crew, they would have cared. If Uhura wanted to go hang out with a god forever, they'd be like, nah, girl.
I don't think so. I think if Uhura had been like, I don't even know the name of this character, like Carolyn Palamas, I think that they would have been, I think they would have treated her the same. Because all women were the same.
That's true.
Star Trek.
Well, and she almost didn't. Uhura almost got hypnotized by like a salt monster, but from some like
that's the first episode. That's the first episode. I liked that one. When the salt monster turns into like this handsome black man who starts spitting Nigerian at her, and she's just like,
okay, say more. And then she's like, I gotta go to work though.
Well, I think that actually she's like getting close to him, and then the moment is interrupted, and then she's like taking it, and she's just like, I'm just about to get freaky with a random black crewman in the hallway. I have to go. I'm gonna get out of here.
That was too much. And also amazing. So I think that Ollie is probably like, what was her name? Pamela?
So you,
or Carolyn Palamas. I think so Carolyn's her mom.
Carolyn Palamas' child.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because she went to go, live some immortal life. And then after that, they, left to go on the wind or whatever. So, like, he would have been the only one because he was the last god that left.
And here's the weird thing. They also, they established this, and I don't, well, okay, so, in this TOS episode, the gods have to be admired. If they aren't being admired by humans, they have less power.
Yeah.
They're less themselves. So, like, it's not just that he's like, Adonis is like, you're super hot and I want to marry you, but also, she believes in gods real hardcore. She's into it.
Yeah.
So she's giving them whatever psychic juice they need to survive. And I was waiting for a reference to be done in this episode where it was just like, oh, she's failing or sparking up because nobody believes in her. because I go, oh, finally,
That would have been a
Mariner
good
her.
thing. Maybe they'll
Does.
tie that into another episode.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I'm guessing that they were like, I know that they're writing Star Trek Lower Decks for super hardcore canon nerds, but I think they're assuming most of us haven't watched TOS and aren't going to revisit it. I am. I'm immediately revisiting this episode though. So
Like always, I like Boimler's I'm sorry, Beep O as his nickname.
oh yeah, yeah. I wanted to mention one more thing though,
Yes.
about the Who Mourns for Adonis. So the Who Mourns for Adonis episode, for our friends on TikTok, they've seen this episode a lot. Why? It's always clipped because it's the episode where they're forced to dance, and there's a little person actor who's also treated badly the entire episode. They're really mean to him all the time. And I was waiting. I'm thinking of this correctly, right? Am I tripping?
I think
I
I think this is a
and
I think you're thinking of a different episode. I'm skimming the
where
thing right now.
where they have superpowers and they make them do stuff.
There's
Maybe?
only him. It's only him. There's no one else there. That's why he's so they go down, they see these, and I'm sort of reading it, but I'm also going off of my memory. They go down,
Yeah.
they're at a temple, and then Adonis is like, so, or whatever. And they're like, and they bring a trained archaeologist,
Right,
or
yeah.
an officer is trained in archaeology, anthropology, and ancient civilizations, so that she can like
Yeah.
study the whole thing. And then she's like, and he's not Adonis, he's Apollo. It's just called
Oh,
he's Apollo.
I get.
It's just called Who Mourns for Adonis because that's the name, and it's a yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah,
it
yeah,
actually his
yeah.
name
No,
he
I'm
is
mixing.
Apollo, which Apollo is
I'm
son of.
mixing up my TOS episodes. Anybody in our audience, help me remember because I think I am mixing up the TOS episodes. Which is the TOS episode where Kirk kisses Uhura?
That's not this one.
I thought this was.
No,
This is a different.
this is a different
so wait,
episode.
So like two different episodes where a godlike creature is forcing them
More
to
than
do
that.
stuff.
And also he
Yeah.
doesn't really so he wants them to like stay and hang out. They want to leave. He says that Zeus, Athena, Aphrodite, Hera, Hermes, and Artemis visited Earth like 5,000 years before, and he wants to be worshipped, and he will give them a simple, pleasurable life if they just do that. And they're like, nah. And then Scotty gets super jealous because Scotty liked the archaeologist, but the
Yeah, she was into
archaeologist
him.
is not into
Well,
him.
I'm realizing why I got them confused because one episode is called "Who Mourns for Adonis," and I'm guessing are those Roman gods? Is Apollo a Roman god or a Greek
These are
god?
Greek gods.
Okay, then I should be confused. The other episode is called Plato's stepchildren.
Yeah, but Plato isn't a Greek god.
I know, but like the entire, like they have the power of gods and they're all dressed like Greek people and they seem like they're really into Greek culture. I am just giving myself some grace for having mixed up these two TOS episodes from the 1960s.
I mean, and
I'm also letting the audience know they're two different episodes. I apologize. In my brain, I had mixed up and had combined them into one episode.
yeah, because like then they ignore him. It hurts his feelings.
Yes.
And then even Palamas has to ignore him, and she's all sad about it.
Yeah, she doesn't like it because she really loves him.
Yeah. And then she says she was studying him. So at the end she kisses him and then tells him that she was merely studying him and that she could no more be in love with him than a new species of bacteria. She says that to break his heart. She's like, I never loved you. So
Wait, maybe she didn't stay.
she did not
I'm
stay.
looking at this.
She did
She
not
doesn't stay with
stay.
him.
But also,
Okay, so
I think that he went back for her. I think he went back and got her.
You're doing some hardcore headcanon there. I would like to think that Carolyn Palamas, she was like, I really was like, I was feeling this god being into me, and I had to reject him, but it was for the best.
I don't know.
I do like that they say that the laurel leaves are permanently attached to their head and cannot be removed.
And she doesn't like talking about it.
In a way that's very similar to Mariner having a different last name than her mom.
She's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to. And her dad, too, because that's not her dad. She used her middle name. Her middle name is Mariner.
Yeah.
Her name is Beckett Freeman. Like, that's her name. Beckett Mariner Freeman. But my favorite lesson for this episode, and everyone needs to hear this: staying true to yourself is wrong. You got to copy someone better. Woohoo!
Okay, you could be right. But this gets you. No. I'm referencing something different. So, inside Star Trek, issue 7, page 5, James Blish uses this ending in his adaptation of the episode. Kirk, yes, Bones? Somebody ill? McCoy, Carolyn Palamas rejected her breakfast this morning. Kirk, some bug going around? She's pregnant, Jim. I've just examined her. What? You heard me. Apollo? Yes.
Hey!
Bones? It's impossible! Spock, may I put a question to this gadget of yours? I'd like to ask if I'm to turn my sick bay into a delivery room for a human child or a god. My medical courses did not include obstetrics for infant God.
You wrote every single book. McCoy, calm down. You wrote the book
That's
on
true.
medicine.
Right.
Like,
but no, your headcanon, I think, might be backed up by other Star Trek.
So it is okay. So it is the child of Apollo and Carolyn.
I'm looking this.
Well,
doing more research.
if it's Apollo is the son of Zeus, which would make Ollie the granddaughter of Zeus, and he left. He went off. And then there's the comment that those Greek gods were a little prolific in their and hooking up with mortal ladies, and Ransom's like, my man, I was like, he's like, me too, and I'm like, you're not that prolific, honey. He really wants to be. Remember those older Betazoids?
Yeah, that's real. I don't see any references to her mom. So,
No.
like, in terms of canon, we don't know who Ollie's mom is.
Yes.
I think it's a real legit guess to be like. Although, actually, maybe it's not a legit guess, because if she was the daughter of Carolyn, you'd think that Carolyn would keep her baby and wouldn't send her back to the planet of the messed up gods.
Well,
And
there's nothing said about that. There's nothing said about where she grew up. Like, her only big issue is that she kept it. She didn't tell anyone she had powers. She told everyone she didn't have powers. Which honestly, like, the way that she conducts lightning and electricity, like, obviously, like, if she had just told somebody,
they would have been like,
put on these gloves.
Is the problem. Yes, exactly. Here's a wristband that'll get rid of that, so that you won't make this stuff not work when you try to use it.
Since you went through, seemingly she must have gone through Starfleet Academy. Most people did. I mean, not Michael Burnham, but a lot of people did. Everyone else.
Ollie is fun, though. Ollie's a fun character. I also like that, they try to be like, hey, let's have you use your powers for good. And it turns out that's not the answer. The answer is Star Trek science.
She's an engineer.
That's always the answer. The answer is always Star Trek science.
Well, she was like, this is not me. I'm not a god. I'm an engineer. And it was like, oh. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of just being an engineer to begin with? And then she went and became who she was. Also, I really like the little top, the little dreidel-shaped child of Quadrillion Iradia. Squirin.
I'm like, a square and a circle makes a dreidel? Okay. I thought it was going to be more like a cube. I
He
thought they'd
was a
have a
cube.
cube.
They were already
But no, he was
like
like
quadrilon is a
I
cube.
thought that he was I thought the quadrilon would be square but with like rounded edges. Instead, he's like a dreidel with like a round top but like a square but like a triangle bottom. I was just surprised at the way he turned out. That's all.
Well, they made
I
him.
did like that.
It was
That
a
was weird.
and
That
it
he
was
couldn't
a
the grandma.
pyramid. I also like that Quadrillion was like, I've only been a father for 5 minutes. I don't know what to do.
Very
Because
funny. Very funny.
that was like, oh no, you're right. Like, because
Um,
how old is that child?
yeah, yeah. Here's my question. So, and I know that we're a little over, but I did have one last question, and it was about it's about ACAB, right? Like I'm ACAB forever,
Yo yo.
right? I have complex feelings about the amount of times that they will stick you in jail in Star Trek and just be like, we're putting you in the box, putting you in the box, and I'm like, that said, she broke the rules, and I kind of liked that there were consequences, even though it all turned out okay, and even though they understood the reasons for why she did it, she broke the rules, and I liked that there were consequences, even though I'm not into Star Trek jail.
Yeah, I'm not into the brig either. I think that punitive punishment it doesn't work. It's like torture. And I don't mean necessarily that a SWAT on the bottom equals torture. I'm saying that it's the same thing. Is that you can't harm a person into good behavior. You just can't harm a person into
Indeed.
good behavior.
Yeah.
It does not work.
Yeah.
But I did like that Mariner was like, yeah, you totally broke the rules. You lied. You hid evidence. Like, this is not cool. So, like, thanks for fixing everything. I'm giving you credit for that. But you also messed a whole bunch of stuff up. So you got to go to the brig. But also, I'll go with you. And I liked how she was like, I love the brig. This is my favorite place. And I was like, and even Mariner was like, yeah, Mariner was like, oh. Like, I knew she was like me, but like, this is going to be tough. She's going to be coaching herself. I think it's going to be really fun. These last this is we're done with the first half of the last season.
Yeah.
Just a few more episodes, 6 more episodes or whatever. Something like that.
I don't want it to end. I really, really, really don't want season. I don't want. I want that. I do want Star Trek Forever and Star Trek Lower Decks. They should be. They should be able. Like, I don't mind that if they like close the story, but then I want them to keep making episodes about other adventures that happened while they were still young. That's what I want. I want them to revisit season 1 and season 2.
Just going back. I mean, I would find it would it would be confusing just because, like, you know, everyone's so different than what they are. But you could do like a one season 1.5, and it would
Yeah,
be like
I.
the Chronicles of Narnia, and you watch them chronologically rather than in the order that they were produced, you know.
Indeed,
um
indeed.
Also in my brain now, the Starbase 80 in an alternate universe does look like the ivory tower from the Neverending Story. And when they fly
I like
in,
it.
you hear the song. Do do do. Do you remember that? Do 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 do. I love that movie. Anyway, remember everyone, staying true to yourself is wrong.
Did you just say remember staying true to yourself is
You
wrong?
gotta copy someone better. And that's the lesson we learned from this episode.
No, 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 no. That is the bad idea that Boimler and Tindy are still on.
No,
We're
not
supposed to
no,
learn from Ollie.
not Tendy. Not Tendy.
Oh right, no, it wasn't
It's
Tindy. It's his roommate. What's his name?
Samantha Rutherford. Um,
It's Oh right, yes, yes,
Samantha.
Rutherford.
Samantha. I love it.
Samantha Rutherford. Rutherford. I like the way these characters enthusiastically are for each other. So like even when they're like, oh that like even when I'm like, oh that's a bad idea, They're so supportive to each other while they are doing the bad idea. You gotta love it.
Everyone knew. I mean, as far as, I mean, his friends all knew that he had been looking through that alternate shiny universe version of himself, and they've been knowing that he's, I mean, like, it's a red it so, like, obviously the roommate notices. The roommate notices. So, because they live together. But Tendi is like, oh, it's slightly larger than a standard Starfleet pad. And he's like, it's red. And she's like, oh, it is. But they all knew. They all knew. And what I like is that they all knew, which meant they were all keeping an eye on him. Like, they knew what he was doing, and they were like, we're going to hands off. We're not his mom.
Tell him don't do that.
Yeah, because we know him. If we keep pushing him on don't do that, something bad might happen. So we're his friends. We are his friends, and we're just gonna stand by until he needs a hand.
I have been enjoying that this episode, Lower Decks does give us real through lines, real season through lines. And I'm hooked. I actually want to know what happens with Boimler's character development. Does he figure out that he's gonna, like, I'm so silly. I know what's gonna happen. He's gonna figure it. I look forward to the journey. And I thought that I wouldn't enjoy Mariner becoming a healthier, more solid human being. And it turns out I actually like Mariner when she's healthy. I'm enjoying a healthy
I think Mariner is a really good person and an excellent Starfleet officer, and it's literally, even, she might not ever want anyone to know it, but it is literally the only thing she's ever wanted to do and be is a great Starfleet officer. Not because of her parents, but because she truly, completely believes in the mission. And that's like, that's a Michael Burnham levels of like loyalty to the Federation. And that's what I like. Yeah. She's still like, if it's really, really, really comes down to it, she will not listen to her superiors. She obviously stole that pad out of her mother's hand that had confidential information. Yes. And I love how she's like, I'm so much better now. She's like, you literally just stole confidential information from me. And she's like, but to help.
Yes, exactly.
I like how Ransom was like, yes, Mariner should do that, because part of the mentoring ship relationship is helping your mentoree be like, pass that on and be a mentor as well. And so I like that, like, no one's hoarding knowledge or anything like that. They just want her to be a great officer, like, and maybe not blow up the ship.
It is pleasant to get to visit imaginative universes where people are supportive and kind to each other and thoughtful. Yes. Like Lower Decks is still incredibly fascinating. Nonsense is happening. I am and wondering what's going to happen, but it's not an unpleasant journey, and it's one I don't mind revisiting, which is nice. I do have one last closing note for this episode. So I want you to say anything you want before I close out our entire, like, this is like an observation to close out our entire Trek talk for today.
Okay, so this is going to be about Starbase 80, and that is,
okay,
I want to see more Chad. And that's it. I like corn dogs, y'all. And there's like a corn dog guy.
Yeah.
Big fan. Yes, big fan. Yes. Big fan. Chad the corn dog guy.
I just want to say this. Kendrick Lamar. Squabble up. Mustard! Car! These are cousins to each other. I'm just saying, I'm wondering if Kendrick Lamar is into Star Trek. Because that mustard reminded me a low key of con, just in terms of like it hit my ear the same way, and I was here for it.
Oh, speaking of, um, yeah, she did that too. Mariner did that too, when she yelled no,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's like, "Are you gonna do this the whole time?" And I love that
I
too.
just kept going.
So good. It's like,
So
as
funny,
she
so funny.
should. I would too if I was that
So funny.
afraid. I think it's nice that Starbase 80 isn't a place of failure. It's a place to get a second chance. And I think that that is really lovely too. That there isn't actually a place where they dump losers. I like that. That isn't actually a true thing. That was just a thing that they all thought and said, but that it's not like that. It's all about mindset. Um, I'm gonna do the thing. Okay, now, Claudia, do you have any closing? That's it. Are you good? We're gonna do the thing.
I'm good.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye bye. Peace and love.